Hello everyone! I am going to be working on my shamadan and wanted to share with you what I'm going to be doing on it. As you can see here, I've got some lumpiness going on and some dents that I've been trying to work out a little bit. The lining is pitiful and coming apart, and it's not very well padded anymore because that stuff is flattened out. And I wanted to add some decoration to it. So what I've found in my stash, I'm doing this all from my stash of crafty stuff. I've got my little pliers. I found some silver chain. I've got some split rings, which are very handy. They're like little, the key ring chains, but little bitty. I've got some extra coins. I found some coin already on some chain. I've got the felt that I'm going to be using, some padding to add into it, and this rubber mallet, and to help with curving, some baked beans in a can. Alright, so before I can add on any decoration to this thing, I want to try to straighten out some of the kinks that I've got going on in the metal here. And I want to replace this horrible lining. You can, oh my god, this is coming off even easier than I thought. Yeah, look at that. Golly geez. And you could tell I've already had to sew some little pads in here. It's hard to see, but you can see these little pads here and here that I made out of red felt years ago to add in because of this thing not fitting very well. And here in this middle section, if I can get this off, there is a massive screw right there. This is what's actually holding all of the pieces of the shamadan, all of these pieces on, is this massive screw that runs all the way down. But this thing pokes out like over ½ an inch and was poking me in the top of the head. Ta-da! Okay, all of this nasty stuff is now, this is gross. I am going to try to reuse this foam because I am challenging myself to only use stuff that's currently in my stash, and I thought I had some upholstery foam in my stash of stuff, but I don't. That's okay. I have this other padding stuff that I'm going to be supplementing around some of this in spots where it's needed. The good thing is that the felt that I'm using is actually thicker than this little velveteen stuff that they were using, so that's actually going to help with the padding as well. But you can see on the inside now this unfinished yuckiness on the inside. So now that I've gotten that off, I am ready to use my hammer and my beans, and we're going to see if we can get some of these little kinks worked out. So here's a life lesson, important thing. So I've been using the can of beans, in any can will do, just to basically give me something behind here that I can then use my hand to try to massage and press down on some of these dents with, just to give me a rounded surface for that. I got really ambitious on this side here, where I've got these kinks in the metal, and I tried using the hammer on the metal with the beans behind, and that's what happened. So, note to self, that doesn't work. What I'm going to do on these sections right here is probably end up getting my little pliers and just working to try to flatten that area out a little bit. It's rounded now more than it was, and I've gotten a lot of the areas rounded more than they were, which is great. See, that's nice, and it's got a little bit of a bump right there, but these areas are a lot rounder now, working with the can. This one in particular, this spot I'm going to have to work on a little bit. Alright, so I've been working on this angle and this curve right here. It's actually way better than it was now. Honestly, this piece of my shamadan has always been a little bit wonky because it's not actually even. Like, this side is shorter than this side, and so it's always bowed out a little bit toward the front. But at least I don't have the big kinks in it anymore right here. And basically what I did, and I did this the non-gentle way. You could put a little piece of fabric over this. I essentially just worked my way down, squeezing it and kind of gently pulling it, pushing it, and working to get that kink in the metal that was right there smoothed out. I've done the same thing on the front here. I had a couple little spots there. These are very pliable, which is why I had the big kink in the first place, because it fell off a shelf, and so it bent. So it does not take a lot of oomph to do this. These are literally jewelry pliers. So it doesn't take a lot of effort. You just be careful. All right, so I'm getting ready to make new little foam upholstered pieces. I'm going to be using my little bowl full of binder clips here and super glue. I have a couple different kinds. I'm just going to use what I have. You'll see here I've got a couple of spots. This is where I added in a little padded piece to go in the very top of the shamadan. This spot was originally not padded at all on my shamadan, and that screw was poking me right in the top of my head. So this is just it's a little bit difficult to see, but this is literally just a little pad of foam that I made out of felt and whip stitched it together, and the same with this one right here. Just whip stitched it together the same width as the pad, and then whip stitched it right down into the pieces that were already there. This one, I don't even think I glued this one in. It literally just sat right in there because the pressure of the shamadan pushed down on the top of my head and kept that one in place. This one is secured in. But the good thing is that as I'm using these pieces as patterns for the other fabric I'm going to be cutting out, I have the ability to be able to continue to add in a little bit of extra padding in places in the shamadan that I need it. Hey guys, so I just had a moment of realization. Instead of actually pulling this off, this red fabric off, and reusing the foam and maybe padding it a little more and using this red piece as a pattern for this, I realized I can just cover this red stuff up with this gray felt. So I've got my pieces cut of the gray felt. I'm going to glue this straight onto this gray felt straight onto what's already here. Let that cure. Use my binder clips or rubber bands or whatever I need to do to be able to get this all to stay on so it can dry and cure. And then I'm going to take these pieces and just glue them right into my shamadan. Easy peasy. So the glue was not working quite like I wanted it to, and frankly I'm impatient. I didn't want to have to glue these pieces and then wait till this cured to glue it onto the shamadan. So I just went ahead and stitched this on directly onto, you can see here, onto the red fabric and the foam that was in there. This is going to give me enough extra padding that I don't think I'm going to need any of the other little foamy batting stuff. So yeah, I've got all of these ready to go now. Sometimes, you try things and it doesn't work, and then you realize you need to try a different tack and you need to add in another tool or two or item that is necessary for you to get through your project. Thank you, Krabby's ginger beer. Okay, now this is ready, so I'm going to attach these onto the shamadan, glue them on with those binder clips, and then we'll be waiting till these are cured and secured. All right, so I've got my little strips roughly placed in. I just kind of stuck them in there to see how this is going to fit. Because I've just layered this extra felt over top, I'm adding extra padding basically with the felt into this. I went ahead and tried it on, and it's actually a little too tight now, which is actually good because I haven't had a lot of padding before in this thing. It's not a problem because I had one more little hole that I could adjust to. So you can see it was on this hole. There was a little wing nut on top of it that I pulled that off, and there's a little teeny nut on the actual screw there. I unscrewed that, reset this over, tightened that back down, and then I can put the wing nut back on top of this. I tried it back on with this larger size, and it did seem to work a lot better, so that's awesome. Now, before I glue all of this into place, and the good thing about using this felt is that I don't have to raw edges, so I can trim it and get ready to put it in place. But before I glue this in, I want to work on the decorations that I'm going to be putting on the outside. So that way I can, get the decorations started, work on them separately, and then glue this in and let it be curing up against the frame. And then when that's all nice and dry and done, I can put the decor on without it being in the way. Okay, so it's time to start planning some decoration here. So I went through my stash. I found some coins, bag o' coins. I found this couple of chunks of chain that was actually part of a belly chain I got on clearance at a jewelry store because I wanted the center medallion. And of course, because I hoard things, I save the chain. And hey, look, it's coming in handy. But I also found this piece. Now, this was something I got at a belly dance swap meet years ago. It's a massive piece of chain. It's a loop of chain with coins already attached onto it. And they've got a little bit of a patina on them, which I actually like the look of that. So I think I may actually have enough with just this to do what I want to do. My plan is to take one strand of this, hook it underneath the cup on this side, drape it across to the cup on the other side. Now, I have taken this cup and saucer off. If you haven't watched the other video about how to assemble a shamadan, this is how they go together. So they go here, you have the screw that goes straight in and goes down in and hooks these cups on. I don't want to put holes in any of my metal. I'm commitment phobic, and if I decide I don't like this decoration on there, I want to be able to take it off without having permanent holes on the metal. So what I thought I could do is trim the chain down to where the length it needs to be, and then attach a split ring on either side that is big enough for this screw to go through. And basically put the little split ring and then put the cup and saucer on top of it, and then put the screw on top of that. And I would have two of these split rings if I wanted to, but what I'll probably end up doing is doing one whole piece. So I'll have a ring here, a drape to attach to another ring here, with another drape attached to it to go over here, all the way around all four of these. And then I'll have a shorter one going here to here, all the way around those upper four, because I need to avoid the candle that comes up here. So I want to make sure that this one's going to drape a little bit closer and not get hooked onto the candle. That's the plan. I'm going to see if I can get all of those out of this and see if I like the way that looks. If it doesn't, then I can add in some of this other stuff kind of throughout to break up the fact that they're not the same type of coin. But we'll see when we get there. Let's try it out. All right, it's time to cut my chain. So I'm going to use these little chain cutters, jewelry cutting scissors. They've got the little blade right there. I find where I want to start my chain, and you're going to lose that one little link in your chain. Squeeze it, and it should be broken. And it's not. Let me try again. Y'all, this is hard to do with a camera. Okay, let's try that. There we go. That felt more substantial. You may have to work a little bit to get those chains broken. And then take off that broken little piece there. All right, so we've got our little, our new end link there, and I'm going to be using a one of these little split rings. Now, I prefer using split rings when I make jewelry or adornments on costumes and things like that, because these, instead of jump rings, which basically do like a little like that, and it's very easy to pull that raw edge open, these little guys are like the like a keychain. And so you have to wrap whatever it is, you have to thread it through several times. Now, these can be a really pain on your fingernails. They destroy fingernails if you're trying to do these with your fingernails. So do yourself a favor and get one of these little jump ring plier sets. It's got this little tooth on it on the bottom part, and that is where you split the ring, and then you can slide it on more easily. I use this also when I'm putting keys on and off of key rings. Ta-da! So I've got my chain cut now into 8 pieces. I've got 4 pieces that are a little bit longer that are going to go on the lower arms, 4 pieces here that are a little bit shorter to go on these upper arms. And I didn't really measure this hard. They're not going to be exactly the same. I basically measured and then just measured one off of the next cut piece. My theory on this kind of stuff is that if anybody can't tell a difference from like 5 feet away, then you're good. There's no sense obsessing. Done is better than perfect. Okay, so here are the upper 4 pieces. I've now got them linked together with these split rings. This is a little bit of finicky work because basically you just want to make sure that the chain is up and not twisted on itself from split ring to split ring. And so I couldn't really film it because it took both hands, and I kind of wish I had had a third hand at that point. But you get the idea. You just want to make sure that you're not going to have a bunch of twists in your chain from split ring to split ring and then from piece to piece across the split rings. So this is ready to go once I'm actually ready to put it onto these upper chains here, the upper cups. So all I have to do now is do the same thing with these, and then I'm going to put these on hold until I get that all glued in and set, and then I'm going to actually put these pieces onto the shamadan, see if I think that's enough, if I'm going to want anything dangly from the top here, see what we need to do about that. So this is where we get to play and be creative. All right, everyone, so I've got my little pieces, my little padded pieces here that I am now gluing into my shamadan. Because this felt is really absorbing the other types of glue that I've been using, I had to bring out the big guns. So I am using E6000 on this, which is good for bonding metal, fabrics, plastics, all kind of stuff. It's stinky and a little bit, whew, but man, this stuff glues. So I put glue on the backside of the fabric piece. I snugged it into place, and then I'm using these fancy binder clips to hold it in until it dries. I'm layering the pieces in the right order, obviously, to be able to cover these raw edges with the piece that goes around here. So this piece here is going to go in last. I'm getting ready to glue in that other piece that goes right there. All right, my shamadan liner is glued in and clipped all the heck. So I'm going to let this cure. This E6000 actually holds pretty quickly, but I'm going to leave the clips on for a little while just to make sure that I get a really strong bond between the pieces here so that I don't have any issues with putting it on and the lining sliding around on my head or, you know, coming off on my head when I take the shamadan off. So next up, after this dries, take these off, and then I will start putting chains onto my shamadan. And there's Sammy. Hey, Sammy. He's not helping. All right, everybody. So the time has come to start putting my coined chain onto my shamadan. I've got a few more binder clips. I'm gluing up a couple more spots. So everything else is good. It's sticking where it's supposed to. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and put these cups back in on top of the chain. So I've got my cup here. I've got actually the screw already in it. That's going to make life a little bit easier. I'm going to try to do this and like film it at the same time. This is challenging. Okay, so I'm just basically going to put that there so that the screw is going through the little split ring, the saucer, and the cup. And I'm going to take my screwdriver and tighten that screw in place. And then I've already got the next one off of the arm and ready to go, so I can start putting all of these on, and let's see how this looks. Dun 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 dun! Here is my decorated shamadan. So I'm actually pretty pleased with how this looks. It's a little bit vintage. It's not too terribly ornate. It just has enough movement and shine to it that I think it'll be really pretty. So I did want to show you one other thing that I found in my stash, though. I found some rolls of this little stick-on rhinestone stuff. I've cut a little piece of it. The white backing comes off, so it just leaves the little silver rhinestones. I'm actually thinking about playing with a little bit of this and putting it like, you know, kind of here and maybe right here, just to see if that adds just a little bit more shine and sparkle to it. I'm going to test it out. I don't want to glue this down. Again, commitment phobic, but I'm going to see if it'll stick. If it'll stick in some spots, I may go ahead and put a little bit of this on just to bling it out a little bit more and see if I like that look. Okay, everybody, so I have used up this entire little roll of this, a whopping $1.50, 3 yards of this trim. It was had sticky on the back of it. It was adhesive. So all I had to do was peel, you know, cut to length and peel it, the back off and put it on. And y'all, I am happy with this. Look at how cute this is. This helps to cover up some of those like spots on the shamadan that just did not look all that great. You know, the spots that were curvy or weird, and I kind of followed the curve there, but I might straighten that out a little bit. And I can, because this stuff just comes right off. I can peel it and pull it off and, you know, put it back on. I did some going up in the middle here, and I'm hoping that when the lights are off and I've got my candles in the shamadan, that this is going to catch a little bit more sparkle. So I think, other than my binder clips, I think I'm done decorating my shamadan. I'm really pleased with how this has turned out with the new insides and how that looks much more subtle compared to what the red looked like. My little cup is a little wonky. The great thing about these shamadans is you can just whoop, bend that right back into shape. So I've got my my candles. I use these little battery operated candles because that way you don't have to get a fire marshal involved where I live to use a shamadan indoors. And I use mounting putty, like this kind of poster putty stuff, to put around the base of the candles so that I can get them to really stick inside the cups here. So that's all that's left, and I'm ready for my performance coming up, at least as far as the shamadan goes. So yay, I hope this video has been useful for you. If you do decide you want to try some stuff with your shamadan, I would love to see your pictures and see what that looks like and see what your creativity looks like. Thanks, everybody. Bye.